I love Shelley Long, so I was really looking forward to seeing Hello again. The premise sounded amazing. As for the film itself, it's okay. There were some good bits in it. Shelley Long gave a great performance, but I didn't love it. This was released in 1987. It's directed by Frank Perry and written by Susan Isaacs, and of course stars Shelley Long as Lucy. And Lucy dies quite early on. I was going to say at the beginning of the film, but actually it took a lot longer than expected because I knew the premise. She dies and then comes back, and I'll talk about how that happens in a moment. And I was just watching it thinking, is this the scene where she's going to die? Is this where she's going to die? And it's not that it took half the film or anything, but I wish it had happened sooner. Yes, we need a little bit of time to set the scene, to get to know what her life is like, but I think they could have quickened things up a little bit. But once she dies, and I won't say how she dies, I won't give it all away, her sister, who's very much into magic, summons her back from the dead. And it's all about Lucy trying to fit in with the life that she had. This is a year after her death, and obviously things have changed. Her husband's moved on, her son has started his career, which is a great thing for her to see, but life is not the life that she left it, and it's partly about having this second chance and what would she do now with her life now that she has a second chance at it. But also we the viewer know that she has to find something by a certain time, otherwise she'll have to go back. And I won't say any more than that, but there is this potential race against the clock that Lucy doesn't know about, which makes it moderately interesting. I just think the reason it didn't work very well, partly is because the events are just not that interesting, but also because they could have done so much more with the character of Lucy. But it was so easy to forget that she'd come back from the dead. She was just like any character who was perhaps going through a divorce or facing a career change and was at a bit of a crossroads. There was no real sense of her having come back from the dead. There was no sense of what she'd experienced during the time when she was on the other side, or whatever you want to think of it as. She just felt like a normal living character who had never died. And they could have done so much with that, and they didn't. And I feel like it's a really underdeveloped narrative, and she's a really underdeveloped character. Before she dies, her character makes perfect sense. She's got a really interesting personality. She seems quite well written. After she dies, there's no change, and it's just the same character, and they could have done so much with that. Or they could have given her, I don't want to say super abilities, but they could have done something to make her character a little bit more undead than rather somebody who'd never died, if that makes sense. I don't know, the ability to levitate or premonitions, or I don't know, they could have done anything to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more engaging. Otherwise it does just feel like a film where the main character is at a crossroads and they have to work out what they're going to do with their life now that they have a second chance, and it kind of feels a bit of a letdown and a bit of a cop-out and very, very underdeveloped. But as I said, Shelley Long is wonderful. I am biased because I love her, but her performance was very, very good. We also have Judith Ivey as Zelda, who was wonderful. We also have Gabriel Byrne. Really great cast. No problems with the performances. In fact, all of the characters in it were well written, and Lucy was well written up until the point she died. And then after that, they could have done so much to make her a fascinating character, an interesting character, and instead she just felt like somebody who was still alive, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the narrative in a way. So it's an okay film. I wouldn't say I regret spending money on it. I watched it on Amazon Prime for what it's worth because I love Shelley Long. But had it been an actor I wasn't familiar with, then yeah, I probably would be a little bit irritated because it's not that great. But it's okay. If it sounds like your kind of film, or if you love Shelley Long, definitely check it out. But if you watch it and don't love it, I completely understand that. For me, as a fan of Shelley Long, obviously very happy to have seen it. Would I watch it again? It's very unlikely. I think once, even for me as a Shelley Long fan, once is enough.